Hopefully you've seen the butterflies out by the flagpole. They look fantastic. And oftentimes I get lots of compliments on your work when we display them like this. But the real kudos go to you guys. You did a fabulous job and these all look fantastic. So to review on our collage butterfly, we started with a good background, put in a contrasting silhouette of our butterfly, and now... So there's two things that we talked about on our butterflies. One is contrast. So we have a contrast between this butterfly silhouette and the background so that each one stands out unique from the other. And then we're going to do the same thing with the designs on the butterfly. So now's the fun part where you get to start adding in some color. So if I look at some of my other scraps of paper, I've got this very nice large areas of brown. However, the brown against the black does not give me very much contrast. So I might look for something different. Here's a blue sky, and that certainly shows up quite well against the butterfly, but I might want something a little bit more colorful, or in addition to that, I really like this checkerboard in the background. It's a little bit blurry, but that's okay, that's fun. And I've got nice contrast between that and the background also. So you're gonna just hold them up and tell. You'll be able to tell right away, trust your eyes, whether or not those colors work. Not so much, but yes, yes, yes. All right, and let me show you how we're gonna make those shapes. So if we go back to this original silhouette, we can use this to make a pattern to make our shapes on the butterfly. And again, you're only gonna have to do it one time because it's gonna be symmetrical. And you can cut two out at one time. So you could actually make some kind of color that goes around the edge of his wings. You can make all kinds of patterns that work themselves up into the wings. So you're going to work out what kind of design are you going to put on your butterfly. Okay, so here I just made a simple enough design on half of my butterfly with some nice shapes on there, some smaller, some larger, maybe a little bit of outlining, however you want to work with that. Don't worry about the body. That's going to stay black. And then I'm going to open it up so that I have just one piece of paper instead of two. I'm going to take that big long color that I have and fold it in half. You can see how I just folded it down the middle in half. And I'm going to set this on top, kind of make sure that it fits on there. I'm going to work with this swirl first. So I need kind of a big patch of color. And I'm going to set it right on there. And then very carefully, I'm going to trace around the outside of my shape. And then on the inside, I'm going to just draw that line super, super heavy and dark. I'm really pushing down with my pencil. And that way it will go through and make a little groove on the inside of the paper. Okay? So if I bring it up to show you, you can see there's my pencil line and there's my little groove. So I'm going to cut both of these pieces of paper out at the same time so that they will be symmetrical. Very carefully, I'm holding them really tight with my pincher fingers so that I can cut those out together. All right, so I cut out those light blue pieces of paper, followed that shape that I just traced on there, and when I separate them, I'm going to end up with two that are symmetrical. And my next step will be to take my glue and water mixture and glue those into place where I want them. Okay? So I can just glue those right on there. And then I can move on to the next shape. Now another way we could have done this was to actually cut this out and use the whole thing as a pattern. But I find that sometimes I end up with way too many little scraps of paper. They're all over the place. They're making a big mess. And I find this just as effective as long as I can see that line kind of etched into the paper. So I will let you work a little bit on this, and I will work a little bit on mine. Okay, so here's what I'm thinking. I cut out these 2 blue pieces, but when I put this blue up on the edge of that butterfly where I thought I would have it, then this blue and this light background did not contrast enough. So what I did was put these 2 back together, trimmed up this curve a little bit, and just dropped it down so that I could get that black line around the edge, and I had more contrast so that those designs would show up. So I had to make modifications, which is okay. And I'll put a little bit of that glue mixture in there, and I can lay this in there so I still see some of that black outline on top, and it gives me a little bit more contrast. So don't be afraid to stop and reevaluate once you get things laid down there and change it up a little bit, make modifications. So I kept cutting and layering on some shapes. Try to limit your colors, and I'll add a couple more shapes here and there and fill up the entire butterfly. And then I ended up putting some shapes on top of shapes just to finish it off.